We've all been there, sitting, staring at the wall, scrolling through our phone for the 10th time in 5 minutes because there's nothing to do. That restless, uncomfortable feeling we call boredom. What if I told you that feeling, the one we spend billions of dollars trying to avoid, is actually one of the most valuable states your brain can be in? And what if the reason you're feeling stuck, uncreative, or even burnt out right now is because you've been running from boredom for too long? I've learned that boredom isn't the enemy. It's actually the tool we've been missing. And by the end of this video, you're going to have a completely different relationship with those quiet, empty moments. So let's start here. When was the last time you were truly bored? And I don't mean waiting in line for coffee whilst checking social media. Genuinely. I mean actually sitting with nothing to do. No input, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. For most of us, the answer is we can't remember. We've engineered boredom out of our lives completely. Think about it. You wake up, check your phone. You're in the bathroom watching TikToks. You're waiting for the water to boil, scrolling Twitter. You're lying in bed at night, one more YouTube video, one more episode. I say this because I know I'm the same. We've created a world where every single gap in our day gets filled immediately with content, notifications, dopamine hits. And that's the thing. Our brains weren't actually built for this. There's this really interesting study from the University of Virginia where researchers put people in a room alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes. No phones, no books, nothing. Just sitting there. And they gave them one option. They could press a button to give themselves a mild electric shock. Guess what happened? 67% of men and 25% of women chose to shock themselves rather than sit with boredom. They literally chose pain over being alone with their minds. That's where we are. We've become so uncomfortable with stillness, with empty space, that we'd rather hurt ourselves than experience it. And the cost of this is massive, because boredom isn't just downtime. It's not wasted time, so to speak. It's when your brain does some of its most important work. So what's actually happening in your brain when you're bored? That's where it gets interesting. When you're constantly stimulated, scrolling, watching, listening, consuming, your brain is in what's called a task-positive state. You're focused outwards. But when you're bored, when there's nothing demanding your attention, your brain switches into something called the default mode network. This is the state where your mind wanders, where you daydream, where you make connections between ideas that seem unrelated. That's where creativity happens. This is where you process your emotions, reflect on your experiences, figure out who you are and what you want. And I think all of that requires space. And boredom is essentially that space. Think about your best ideas. Where did they come from? I bet most of them came in the shower, or on a walk, lying in bed before falling asleep, or maybe driving. Those in-between moments. Because that's when your brain finally has permission to think freely, to connect dots, to wander into unexpected places. There's this really cool concept in neuroscience called mind wandering, and it turns out it's directly linked to problem solving and innovation. When you're bored, your brain isn't doing nothing. It's actually reorganizing information, like replaying memories, simulating future scenarios. It's kind of doing deep background processing, but we keep on interrupting it. Every time we feel that twinge of boredom and reach for our phones, we cut off that process. And here's something I realized recently. I couldn't remember the last time I had an original thought. Every idea I had was a reaction to something I'd just consumed. A response to a video, something in an article, a remix of someone else's video. I wasn't creating, I was just reacting. And that's because I never give my brain the space to generate anything new. It's like I'm always in input mode and never in processing mode. So next time you feel bored, don't reach for your phone, just sit with it and notice what happens. But here's the other thing about boredom. It actually forces you to feel your feelings, and that's exactly why I think we avoid it. When you're constantly distracted, you never have to face what's actually going on inside you. You're anxious, you scroll. You're lonely, you watch Netflix. You're sad, YouTube video after YouTube video until you fall asleep. We use stimulation as emotional avoidance, and it does work temporarily. But those feelings don't go away. They just build up under the surface. Boredom strips away all the distractions and says, okay, now what? And suddenly you're face to face with yourself. And that's uncomfortable. That's why people in the study chose to shock themselves. Because sitting with your own mind means sitting with your own pain and probably your own uncomfortable truths. But here's the paradox. Avoiding those feelings doesn't make them go away. It makes them stronger. The only way through them is through them. And boredom creates the conditions for that processing to happen. When you're bored, when you're not numbing yourself with constant input, you actually start to metabolize your emotions. You start to make sense of them. I noticed this in my own life. I used to fill every moment with podcasts, videos, something playing in the background. I told myself I was being productive. I was learning, I was staying informed, but really, I was just running away. And when I finally started allowing myself to be bored, walking without headphones, for example, or sitting without my phone, all of this stuff came up. Thoughts I'd been avoiding, feelings I'd been pushing down. And yes, it's uncomfortable at first, and it still is. It's not easy when there's so many distractions constantly around, but I think it's necessary to try this. It was like cleaning out a cluttered wardrobe. You basically have to pull everything out and look at it before you can reorganize it. So how do we actually do this? How do we embrace boredom in a world designed to eliminate it? It's not easy, but it is simple. You have to actively create space for it, so start small. Pick one activity you always do with a device and do it without one. For me, it's taking a walk without my phone. Or you could eat a meal without watching something. Sit in your car for 5 minutes before you go inside. Just sit. It's obviously going to feel weird at first. Your brain is going to scream at you to pick up your phone. That's the addiction talking. You just have to force yourself to not react. And here's a little known fact that changed how I actually think about this. So apparently, your brain treats boredom like a threat. Literally. When you're understimulated, your brain perceives it as a survival risk, like you're missing out on important information. And that's why it feels so uncomfortable. But just like you can train yourself to be comfortable with physical discomfort through exercise, you can also train yourself to be comfortable with boredom. It's kind of like a skill, and the more you practice it, the easier it gets. Another thing you could do is to schedule it. I know that sounds a bit silly, scheduling time to be bored, but if you don't protect it, it's not going to happen. Put 15 minutes in your calendar, call it whatever you want, like reflection time or thinking time, and use it to do nothing. And I mean nothing. So no meditation apps, no journaling, no productivity hacks, just existing. And here's the thing, you're going to be bad at it at first. Your mind will race. You'll think you're wasting time. And that's normal. You just have to stick with it. Because on the other side of that discomfort is clarity. It's the real you, not the distracted, reactive, overstimulated version. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Boredom isn't something to fix. It's actually something to protect. It's not a bug in your life. It's a feature. It's where your brain does the deep work of making sense of everything you're experiencing. It's where your best ideas come from. And it's where you process your emotions and figure out who you actually are underneath all the noise. So the next time you feel bored, just sit with it and see what happens. Let me know in the comments how it goes. I'll see you in the next video.